Good morning. Hope now this is doing well. Make sure this is going good. Okay. Hope everybody's doing all right. Welcome to Faith and Fandom Feedback Friday for July 19th. And yeah, y'all, it's been a week. This world has been full of some chaos and shenanigans. And we're gonna talk about it a little bit, but hope you're doing okay. If you are watching this on Facebook, you can always go back and listen to the audio on our podcast channel. And if you are watching or listening to this on our podcast channel and you want to see my pseudo awoken face as we talk about these things, you can head over to YouTube or Facebook and find them there. Uh, but yeah, it's been a week and it's mostly been chaos. Not just for me personally, but just the world. It's been a hot buttered mess, y'all. Um, God's good, but man, it's been some shenanigans. Um, I think left off with this, but just to start off with this, because mentioning again that the case for Alec Baldwin was dismissed and his shooting on the set of the film Rust. That was just in my notes from last time, but I'm pretty sure I talked about that last week. But that's the thing. Uh, Also Richard Simmons passed away. This was a hefty past couple weeks for celebrity deaths. Richard Simmons passing away. Shannon Doherty passed away. Bob Newhart passed away. It's been a bit chunky in terms of those things. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and start off with this for real. Start off because literally every news site, everything is dealing with this, and there's no real way to tap dance around it and not mention it or discuss it. So, gonna talk about this and just be in there as much as we can be. But if you know me, you know my heart. I don't really do politics, but I do people and I do hearts, and it's part of the thing. Good evening, Tristan. It's good to see you, dude. Um, so one thing up front is let's talk about the shooting um with former President Trump. Uh, it's just one of those things like, yeah, it's been average. The the shooting took place at a Trump rally, and uh, multiple shots were fired. To my knowledge, and based on the information I've gathered for this morning's news, one person was killed. One other person, aside from former President Trump, was injured, and at the rally in Pennsylvania. Uh, Presidential assassinations are no joke. Presidential candidate assassinations are no joke. And while Uh, it's just even people making jokes of them has become its own controversy. Um, you know, it's such an ugly situation. Politics in general is ugly. When you start literally trying to take people's lives, it's uglier. But the hard thing is that there's a portion of our country and maybe the world that uh like just is down with it, down with that happening. And I think that just, I go back to whenever I see situations like this, the Five Iron Frenzy album, live proof that the youth are revolting from 1999, which they recorded just a few months after the Columbine shooting, um, when they premiered their new song, A New Hope, about the Columbine shooting. Um, Reese Roper made the statement that uh, this is what mankind does because our hearts are dark, and without Christ, that darkness rules. And I believe that's kind of where we are. It's a sucky situation. And we are better. We can be better as people. Obviously, we're not better because this happens, but we can be. God can do a lot of redeeming work, even in the smallest areas. Um, So we'll touch back on that because I'm not organized and my news is not all in. It is in a folder, but it's not organized because I don't have that kind of time. I'm just trying to make it here because I got like 27 minutes before I got to go run a superhero camp. So roll with me. On surprising but not surprising news, Despicable Me has become the first animated franchise in history to cross $5 billion. Now, uh, I think if they make another Inside Out, that they'll sweep that. But currently, as it stands, Despicable Me is the only animated franchise in history to cross $5 billion. Keep in mind, Marvel was purchased by Disney for $4 billion. Star Wars was purchased by Disney for $4 billion. That the Minions and Steve Carell have generated enough billions to have purchased one of the major franchises, but they have not purchased. They have not. The Minions have not made enough money to buy Candy Crush though, because that sold for 8 billion the last time it sold. So just putting that out there. Back to sad slash discouraging slash frustrating news, and also dealing with the Trump shooting. Good morning, John. Um, Splintered Fate is amazing. The You loved the new Despicable Me. I haven't seen it. I also I don't know that I've seen the Despicable Me movies past two. I watched The Rise of Gru, but I've not watched the original Minions movie or the last two Despicable Me movies. And it's not anything against them. I just haven't done it. I've heard that Will Ferrell's really good in this, but it's Will Ferrell. That's not surprising to me. And I haven't had enough time to play games lately, other than a little bit of Destiny with the um thingy, but I will check that out. Um, but jumping back into and John, I have something for you the next time I see you. Um, I have stuff for our Patreon supporters that are like on the podcast tier and the flipper deal, something I've been waiting to kind of get done, and I want to try and get them out before GalaxyCon this week. Uh Tenacious D has officially canceled their tours indefinitely, and the band is indefinitely done because at their show in Sydney on Sunday, uh they brought out a birthday cake and asked Kyle to make a wish, and Kyle wished that next time don't miss Trump. Uh which again, it's the joking about the things and you don't know where the lines are. That put Jack Black being reality is this. Kyle Glass is a wonderful guitar player and a good musician, and I love Tenacious D. But Jack Black carries the weight of billion-dollar franchises on his shoulders between Kung Fu Panda and Jumanji and like Mario Brothers. He can't be associated with being that divisive, even though this is the same band that is Tenacious D, and they've been offensive like literally since the inception. You can't listen to a Tenacious D album and not be like, oof. Because their music's always been offensive, but that's a line. And, Tristan said a line crossed. But that they're officially, cut ties with that. And every time I think about it, every time I see a headline about it, every time I bring it up in discussion, all I hear is there's a Tenacious D song that says, "Last week, Kyle quit the band. Doesn't matter. Now we're back together. La 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 la." I keep waiting for something to pop out with that as like a video or something to that nature. But as it stands, Tenacious D is over because of this comment. And I guarantee Kyle didn't think that through of saying, this is going to be something that's going to change the future of career and existence forever. But it apparently has. And if Tenacious D survives making the pick of destiny, but doesn't survive this comment, I'm super sad inside. Um, I'm hoping some apologies can be made, whatever else. Um, Uh, Natalie Co- uh, Natalie Portman has um declared that her role recently as a narrator in Bluey is the most important role of her career. Because of her kids, because it's pure joy, because it's Bluey. But Natalie Portman recently voiced a nature documentarian in an episode of Bluey, and she states it's the most important role of her career. Not V for Vendetta, not Thor, not Star Wars. No, no, my friends. It's Bluey. And I'm not mad at it because Bluey is magical. Um, that's a thing. Um, According to several sources, the Russo brothers, who are widely renowned as making some of the best, now you have a reason to watch Bluey. Tristan, dude, Bluey is dope. Like, I cannot stress this enough as a parent. It's just good. It's I feel like it's better storytelling for parents, especially if you pay attention to the little details, but I digress. Um, the Russo brothers are officially returning by my all my sources that I see correctly, officially returning to direct Avengers 5 and 6. These are the guys that brought us some of the best, if not the best Marvel across the board. And now they're going to be coming back to do Avengers 5 and 6, which is going to be a well-needed shot in the arm for the MCU. Um, George R. R. Martin, author of Game of Thrones and the rest of the Game of Thrones books that have not been finished, um, has taken personal complaint into trolling his own creation on his blog, um, because the House of the Dragon flag has the wrong number of legs for the dragons. That his dragons should only have two legs, and on the House of Dragons banners, it has four legs, and that's a no-no. Um, so uh there you go. Stephen Colbert commented as he was delivering the news story that we need less of this and more of this to finish the story, considering he hasn't done it yet. The Emmy nominations are out, and there are lots of good Emmy nominations across the board, from Fargo to 23 nominations for The Bear. But one that is good, excited about, is that Walter Goggins earns an Emmy nomination for Best Actor in Fallout. I love Walter Goggins. Boyd Crowder is one of my all-time favorite characters, and he now has a Best Emmy or Best Actor uh nomination for that. So there you go. Oh, Loki. I didn't see I didn't read through the whole nomination list. Did Loki get nominated? Because it deserves to be nominated. Yeah. Uh, NASA has broadcasted um the Missy Elliott song, uh I Can't Stand the Rain, or It's My Window, 158 million miles to Venus. So the Missy Elliott song is broadcasting across the literal, galaxy. Um, so if aliens arrive and are like bobbing their heads to the rain super duper fly, it's being broadcast all the way 158 million miles to Venus. Um, I'm not saying it's not the right song choice, but I also don't disagree with it. Like, if you're gonna just play a random jam into space, it's not the worst life choice you can make there. Um, Halo, the live action series, has officially been canceled by Paramount after 2 seasons. For many people, it was over the minute Master Chief took his helmet off. Um, John Jacob says it's Galaxy Quest, but for hip hop. Listen, that would be dope. I'm glad they're sending up Missy instead of like Eminem. Then in that case, um, uh, But yes, Halo has been canceled after 2 seasons, which is sad but not surprising. Um, because as it happened with my kids, the first time I sat down to watch the Halo series, I made it about 20 minutes. I'm like, nah, never mind. Like, it just wasn't for my time at the moment, and I've not gone back yet. I think I've made it through one episode. And that's not like me. I'm normally like, let's plow through this. But I think there are so many emotional attachments to Halo that it's hard that John thinks it was over the minute the cheeks became topic of discussion. Um, on the note of Eminem, the Death of Slim Shady album dropped last Friday and has been doing really well. It was number one on the iTunes charts in 45 different countries, which I bet you can't name 45 different countries. So there. Um, but with that, uh, one thing that has surfaced is that Marshall Eminem put out a PSA as the album was released, saying that this is a concept album and won't make sense if you listen to it on random. What he did not say is that it won't make sense if you don't listen to it from beginning to end. And fans are theorizing that if you listen to it from the beginning to the end, it's Marshall uh putting the kibosh on Slim Shady. But there's popular theories gaining much traction that it's actually the reverse, that if you listen to the entire album in reverse order, it tells the story and almost better tells the story of Slim Shady returning and getting rid of Marshall. So I have not personally done that just because of time and life. But that is an interesting theory and not something I would put past Eminem in the process of making said album. Um, on other hip hop news, Kanye West is being sued by DJ Khalil and three other artists for a pair of tracks on 2021's Donda album for unauthorized use. Um, the Boys season finale took place over in the past week, and because of the attempted assassination of former President Trump, they changed the episode title. The episode title was originally called Assassination Run, and now it has simply been retitled to Season 4 Finale, and it comes with a warning before watching it. So The Boys is far from the most sensitive thing to cross television, but they're being uh sensitive to these things. So what's that say? Yeah. Some other notable Emmy nomination things that I did see is that Anna Sawai, who was the main actress in Shogun, is nominated for Best Lead Actress, and I think she deserves it, but so is the young lady Maya Erskine, who played Mrs. Smith and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which I really enjoyed. Um and Shogun is nominated for Best Drama Series. Mr. and Mrs. Smith is nominated for Best Drama Series. The Gilded Age is nominated for Best Drama Series. All of those are things I really enjoyed, as well as Three Body Problem. Three Body Problem I enjoyed less, but whatever. This also marks uh the for Lily Gladstone and Callie Rice make Emmy history as the first Indigenous women nominated for acting. So Lily Gladstone, who was just recently in The Killers of the Flower Moon, and Callie Rice, who is in uh True Detective season 5 or whatever season just happened, are both nominated for Best Actress, or nominated for acting, and it's the first time Indigenous women have been nominated. Ryan Seacrest shared some behind the scenes stuff from his first day hosting the Wheel of Fortune. We've lived long enough, y'all, that we grew up on Ryan Seacrest with the spinning wheel. Or we grew up with Pat Sajak on the spinning wheel, and now it's Ryan Seacrest. Ryan Seacrest is hosting the Wheel of Fortune. I feel like I should apply for like retirement just with that sentence. Um, I mean, like, bro, you used to be cool. You used to be cool. I can see Carson Daly. I can see Drew Carey. Not Ryan Seacrest with the spinning wheel. Um, John, I hope you have a good therapy session, bro. Um, hit me up. I'll be around. Um, Poker Face season 2 is adding uh some good girth to its cast. Giancarlo Esposito will be joining Poker Face season 2. Katie Holmes will be joining Poker Face season 2. Kumail Nanjiani will be joining Poker Face season 2. And on that note, for Kumail Nanjiani, I saw and have not confirmed something that he could be up for Booster Gold in the DC universe. Um, which would be an interesting take, but I'm not also against it because he definitely has Booster Gold energy. Um, and could rock with that. Inside Out 2 has now officially become the second biggest animated film of all time. Mario Brothers took it last year. Um, and now Inside Out 2 has surpassed Mario Brothers, knocking Mario Brothers down to number 3. Um, and it is just behind Frozen 2, under $80 million. If it gains another $80 million in theaters, it will become the biggest animated film of all time. And I'm just kind of a little sad that Frozen 2 is the biggest animated film of all time, but whatever. Um, the Washington Post has done a study stating that only 5% of Americans attend church on a regular basis. And by regular basis, they mean 3 times in a month. This is an average, though, as they've averaged the poll numbers together, depending on the region. Like in the South, like North Carolina, South Carolina, it's 11 to 12%. In Vermont, it's 0.007%. Um, but again, it's saying that it's down, um, and that it's risen pretty highly. That's one of the reasons that it's risen so highly is that in 2000, 9% of Americans stated that they had no religious affiliation, connection, belief, anything like that in 2000. Currently, the poll number is showing that it's at 28%. So it's almost risen a full 20% in the last 24 years. Uh, Also, with that note, just to say that the Gallup polls, which are usually known for Pew, or the Gallup polls, which are normally known for taking care of church metrics and stuff like that, state that a more accurate percentage of church attendance would be 21 to 30%, but that's also coming from a religious organization. So chew on that as you would. Um, we'll say this back to the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. The name of the man who was killed, uh, the victim of uh, the event, was Corey Comparator. Comparator. He was a, I'm sorry for not handling that last name well. He was a retired fire chief in Buffalo Township, and he was the one who lost his life in that uh, shooting. Um, Also to note that the shooter had a van full of explosives. So, yeah, the shooter had a full van full of explosives was another thing. The second victim of the shooting, someone else who was wounded in the event, is James Copenhaver. He's 74 and he is recovering in the hospital after being critically wounded. Um, yep. And also on Steam, the night before the shooting, the shooter posted on Steam that he was making his premiere on the 13th. So all the things, and there's lots of stuff coming out about it, but then again, there always is. North Korea is still launching trash and uh hazardous waste filled balloons into South Korea. as a way of social torture, and just overall pettiness. So far, North Korea has sent over 2,000 balloons into South Korea that will fly over the border and eventually pop, dropping waste. Um, yeah, Tristan, the explosives have not got much detail. I had to go to not mainstream America news to find it. But yeah, he had a van full of explosives. So I guess he had further plans. Um, but yeah, a van full of explosives. But North Korea is still dropping duty balloons into South Korea. Billy LeBlanc, who is a YouTuber, has lost his girlfriend as she passed away, as they both got a bacterial infection from eating raw oysters. He woke up from being completely out of it with the sickness to find that his girlfriend had passed away from the same oysters he had eaten and gotten sick from. Um, I've eaten mussels once. I've yet to eat oysters. This doesn't help my case, but that is sad. Um, yeah. Uh, in terms of entertainment with Doctor Who, long-term Whovian here, uh, the ratings are not solidifying for Doctor Who for Disney Plus. Disney Plus recently backed the funding of the revival after the little hiatus with Jodie's season. But um, even though it has a moderately positive reception across the board, the ratings are still not up to Jodie's numbers or of the specials. And in terms of viewership for like Disney Plus and things, um, it made it to number 7 in most viewed stuff, but was still behind Simpsons and Star Wars TV shows. So there's discussion that it might not make it past this season 2 with Disney, um, which would be terrible. Um, but whatever. Um, let's see. There has been a newly discovered uncontacted people group in Machu Picchu, Peru. There's a tribe that is just straight up hunters gatherers sticks. And they have been photographed and videoed from a distance, but they have not been interacted with people. And so they are trying to keep a distance, but it's still interesting to find wholly untouched new discovered people groups. Um, DC is launching a comic book line called Absolute, uh, which is effectively the Ultimate Universe from Marvel, but with DC characters. Um, because when in doubt, start over. I can't say diddly squat because I've been so busy the last month or two. I've not read a comic book. I have a stack of comic books and I've been trying to read 1 week's worth of pulls, but I've been working 14-hour days for 2 weeks in a row. And next week is GalaxyCon, so we'll see where that's all going. Um, yeah. So that's my news. Just a couple things to let you know. GalaxyCon is the biggest event I do each year, and it is coming up this week. So if you are a praying person, I would love for you to pray for these opportunities. I get to do a church service. Um, I get to do a discussion panel. I get to do a lot of really cool things. I'll be there at my booth for 4 days. I am unhappy with the fact that I am going to be at a place where effectively I can't watch Deadpool and Wolverine until like Sunday night or Monday, because the con has me in the convention center till like 9 or 10 o'clock every day. Um, wah, big nerd problems. But that's kind of where it's at. Um, yeah, but this is a big show. It's going to be a big deal. The new X-Men #1 isn't too bad. Um, Tristan, I appreciate that, but isn't too bad. It's not like the review that's gonna be like, oh, dope, let me check that out. I feel you. I would probably pick it up. Um, oh, that's right, it already has started. Um, did you get the uncanny one? Like the Gail Simone one? Because that's the one I'm looking forward to, just because I love Gail Simone. So I'm gonna pick that up. Um, yeah. I just wanted to share with you, what do I want to share with you? I've been reading this book as much as I could in between stuff. The House That Jesus Built. It's an advanced copy for Natalie Ronion's follow-up book to Raise to Stay. And this is just one phrase that hit me up was says when the orphan spirit, and when it says orphan spirit, it means the idea that we act like we don't have a father. Um, says when the orphan spirit partners with castle building Christians means people that are more concerned about building their own establishment rather than the kingdom of God. It says when orphan spirit partners with castle building Christians, we build an orphanage filled with those desperate for a name rather than a church for safe and the true fatherless. Um, and that's just one of the things that's been uh kind of hitting me and struggling me is like, what are we building? What's our focus? What's our goal? And are we truly trying to actually make things better for the people that are struggling and are hurting and need things? um there's a Bible verse that tells us that how we care for orphans is how we genuinely show. James 1:17, religion that is pure and undefiled before God the Father is to take care of widows and orphans and keep oneself free of the influence of this world. Um, and I feel that if we're not doing a good job taking care of those who are struggling, taking care of those who are hurting, taking care of those who feel like they don't have a place, then we're not doing a good job with what we're doing. So I just want to encourage you, don't just look out for the people uh who already have their crap together. Look out for the people who are struggling. Look out for the people who are displaced. Look out for people who are hurting. And I know that's never easy in its own right. But religion that our God our Father accepts as pure and faultless as this, to look after orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. The world looks real ugly with everything that's been going on lately. And I just encourage you, do your best to be light in darkness instead of just dim in darkness. Um, Before I bounce out of here, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters. And if I can effectively make it to the post office before this week is out, I will have Patreon gifts for all of the people that are on the Flipper and podcasting levels. Uh, with that, so hang tight with me, and we're gonna get that out to you. But David Brooks, Jeff Weimer, Colin Sproles, Jamie Montgomery, the Coleman family, Jonathan Herman, Ron Petit, Gear Saber Cosplay, Scott Ward, Alicia Glenn, Candace Davis, Jay Sheed, Jason Crutchfield, Mike Perna, Todd Turner, John Jacobs, Zach Harris, Caleb Grimm, Jeanette Skaggs, Jason Bullock, Christina Ray, Sarah Lewis, Patrick Gale, Rebecca Godlove, Adam Davis. Thank you all for contributing the way that you do, for being encouraging the way that you are. And I appreciate you more than I can express. And especially after I come back from GalaxyCon this week, I'm going to be like appreciating you a million times more because of seeing all that's going to go on. So thank y'all. God bless y'all. I hope to see you at a con soon and have a great day.